So, first off, let me start by saying that this movie is really special to me. At the time, I wasn't too versed in the internet as I am now, so I didn't follow casting announcements and stuff like that. I was, however, a big fan of Lego and remember getting the one with Lois escaping in the pod in May of 2013. Well, 1 month later, the movie released in theaters, and I saw it with my friend Ricardo at this theater where you could literally eat inside, which I thought was so cool. Growing up, I couldn't afford to go to the theater or buy Lego much, so my friend's family bringing me along was really special. I even remember after the movie his stepfather discussing that Cal never left the water. Now, technically he did, but the point is that I thought it was awesome that even the adults liked the movie so much to talk about it after. My mom usually doesn't do that, so. Anyway, this was my short little intro. Now let's discuss what I noticed about it upon this rewatch. I'm going to try to keep it chronological or at least in some form of order. The score for this movie is beautiful. Hans Zimmer is probably my favorite composer for films. Watching this movie with noise-canceling headphones really makes you appreciate the impactful score and subtle sound effects throughout. For example, the sounds you hear in the beginning of the movie kind of sound like ships entering the atmosphere from far away, or maybe just sci-fi contractions. Which, this movie's Krypton is so cool. I wasn't a fan of the sterile, crystal-like fortress from the Reverse. It worked for its time, but this is much more expansive.
What would you have us do, Al?
Look to the stars, like our ancestors did.
I didn't catch this before. You know, I'm playing Mass Effect 1 right now. Gonna go on a small little tangent, but I'm playing Mass Effect 1 right now, and the species of that world rely on hyperdrive stations called mass relays. They're like scattered throughout the universe. It's much more complicated, but this allows them to go through this enormous universe for colonization. The only setback is that they can only travel where the mass relays are, so they're spread thinly in the universe. This is similar to Krypton, where they were spread too thin, had to spread out their resources, and they committed too much, and then their resources ran out. All this makes me think of other races like Daxamites, and why didn't the Green Lantern of the Krypton sector tell the Guardians? You know, this would have been cool to develop further. We did see a Green Lantern in the Justice League, so maybe we would have seen Supergirl down the line. Not an alternate version, but the real Supergirl. She was in a comic one time, but I'm not sure if that's canon.
I have held that hope in my hand.
Just realized he's talking about Cal here. The robot assistants Lara and Jor are named KeeLEX and KeeLOR. If you remove the key part, it's Lex and Lore, like Lex Luthor. There's gotta be some connection there. I couldn't find it. Or also KeeLOR as in lore, like Lara's middle name. Wait, so does that mean that Jor-El, Jor-Lex L? No, probably not. Yeah, I remember thinking this is the movie that made Jor-El cool. But you know, how did a scientist defeat a general?
I was bred to be a warrior, trained my entire life to master my senses.
Right, I suppose this is the part of Zod's lack of self-awareness. You can hear Zod's theme when he kills Jor-El. You can hear cries of the other prisoners when the Phantom Zone closes, which I thought was neat. Cal's screaming when he's holding up the rig is pretty powerful. The workers tell him to get on despite what he was, despite seeing a man on fire. He saves them first, of course, but his screams signify not only his physical struggle but moral as well, as he wants nothing more than to save these people. I love the origin story style this movie took. We get a present day sequence of events, but in between, Clark starts to remember stuff about his life. Look, I get the whole Jonathan Kent sacrifice thing. After watching Smallville, I definitely get it. The Kents are so wonderful in that show, and here we only get the sad parts, sad realistic parts. Still, the Tornadoes theme gets me very emotional, every time. It feels raw, and while I did feel empty when it happened in Smallville, it feels more emotional in this movie, if that makes sense. People say Clark could have easily saved him and no one would know or complain. I mean, it's a small town. But because there's that caveat, is why the scene works for me. Sometimes life throws unfair circumstances and you just have to deal with them. I will say if this was real life, it wouldn't have happened like this. I mean, Who forgets the dog? The dog's name is Hank, by the way. They later get another one named Dusty. I think Dusty, I'm not sure if Martha actually name dropped Dusty or if that's in BVS or Justice League, I can't remember. If you listen closely, they discover that the scout ship had been in the ice for around 18 to 20,000 years. So what caused them to find it now? I'm not sure if that was pointed out in the movie. Isn't it also a bit coincidental that they find it at the same time that Clark does? But movie is as movie does. So James Gunn, the new creative lead at DC Studios, made this scene from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Did he get inspired by Man of Steel?
The symbol of the House of El means hope. Embodied within that hope is the fundamental belief in the potential of every person to be a force for good.
What a great way to explain the S on Superman's suit. I love this Superman symbol, and I will forever lament that we will never see it in a sequel. But if we get Crisis on Infinite Earths, we better get Super Cavill in there.
I'm just speculating. But I think whoever's at the helm of that thing is looking to make a dramatic entrance.
Sure, just speculating. Not like you're a Martian manhunter or anything. Clark reading Play-Doh reminds me of moments in Smallville when he would also read deep books like this. Clark is a good person, and he's got that from his parents, but he's also really smart. He wouldn't be able to lead otherwise.
Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith first. The trust part comes later.
I'm not a very trusting person, so I need to remember this for sure. Trust isn't about good or bad, it's a choice. Our choice. Before I get to the third act, let's discuss some of the cast members. Amy Adams was probably one of my crushes growing up, and probably still is. The first movie I ever watched in theaters was Enchanted, so it was great to see her here, but I will say she brings a softer voice to Lois Lane. She's usually a bit raspier. Maybe this Lois doesn't smoke. I suppose it fits this younger, unsure of himself Clark better. Now for Henry Cavill as Superman, he's really good here. Unfortunately, I think this is his best portrayal. Not that his other portrayals are bad, like I loved his small cameo in Black Adam. The small nuances in the voice and posture and everything. But the writing makes him too pessimistic in BVS, and then too Deus Ex Machina in Justice League. That basically means that he's just there to save the day. So we really didn't get like too much banter between him and the League. If we got a sequel, that would have been cool. His voice at times sounded a lot like Tim Daly / Superman, the animated series voice at times, which was just the right amount of noble and imposing. Michael Shannon, of course, as Zod elevates this movie. You know, I think DC movies cast better actors for their villains than their heroes. He really injects Zod's anger, impatience, and conviction immaculately in his performance. But so do the other cast members, like Feor is ruthless and strangely alluring. Not sure if they did it on purpose, but Kryptonians are typically black-haired with prominent facial features like dimples and high cheekbones, with paler skin complexion. Whereas the humans in the movie, like Lois Lane, Perry White, and everyone else in the Daily Planet, Martha Kent, Jonathan Kent, you can see their wrinkles and general wariness. Maybe the makeup department did this to the actors on purpose to differentiate races, i.e. Kryptonian versus human. Or maybe I'm just looking too hard into it. As I was looking at the IMDb credits, I saw that Jax-Ur was in the movie. In STAS, he's basically the Zod stand-in, but here I think he's probably a bit more comic accurate. How did Zod talk to Kal and Lois in their heads? Like, was it some sort of machine that they hooked him up to? Or some sort of ability that they have? You know, I love the subtle humor in this movie, like Jor-El scaring Lois and her stumbling. Zod's utter disbelief that Kal is beating him. So when I was watching this on HBO Max, or Max right now, and then they're going to be HBO Max, make up your mind. So when Superman is grabbing Zod away from Martha, flying him away, the credits actually said, "You think you can frighten my mother?" It's threaten, HBO Max, not frighten, it's threaten. Jeez.
So sorry.
It's only stuff, Clark. It can always be replaced.
You know, I love this line by Martha. She's so right, and I always remember it when I think about losing my phone or my Xbox or something so materialistic. Despite a freaking car going through her house, she says this. Now, I know she's just a fictional character in a movie, but there are people like this in real life that value higher things than just, well, things. So did Jor-El store the Codex in Cal because he wanted Cal to repopulate Krypton through natural means? Like he wanted Krypton to live on through his kids? Seems pretty limited, but I guess it's something. So when Cal goes to the Indian Ocean to destroy the machine that's terraforming on the other side of the Earth, I didn't realize that the terraforming device made Cal weaker when he's around it. Because, well, it's literally turning the atmosphere around him to Krypton's atmosphere. Lois just name dropped him. I guess I never noticed before.
If that thing is making Earth more like Krypton, won't you be weaker around it?
Throughout the movie, the dialogue is very complex in its use of specific terminology.
Planetary engineering modifying the Earth's atmosphere and topography.
Turning Earth into Krypton.
I appreciate Zod's conviction in a very disciplined and militaristic way. He gets the job done no matter what. Both Jor-El and Zod are victims of their own system if you think about it. Jor-El, as their best scientist, would naturally want to look to the stars. And Zod, as a general, would naturally be absolutely loyal to Krypton. You know, he kind of reminds me of C.L.U from Tron Legacy. They were both created to create the perfect system. In Zod's case, ensure that Krypton survives and kills anyone who stands in the way of that, aka imperfections along the way. If people say that this shot is Christopher Reeve, then I can say that this shot always looks like Brandon Routh's Soups to me. No, but I was pretty shocked and I'm pretty sure they did some altering there. When Zod and Cal enter atmospheric space, you can hear the theme from BVS. You know, I just realized Clark walked into the Daily Planet without his glasses first. Maybe he can hypnotize people without them. So this was Man of Steel. I think I said enough about this movie. Now I'm pretty eager to look over BVS, because I don't think I ever rewatched the original version. Like I only watched it in theaters. And then later I watched the Ultimate Cut, which was just a few years ago. I want to do a comparison of both. Like I'll review the original like I did now with Man of Steel, and then I'll post a comparison of both for the Ultimate Edition. So it'll be like a separate video. 2 videos for BVS essentially. So this was it. This was Man of Steel. Dang, got a lot of movies. We'll see how this goes. First time editing something like this, so we'll see how it goes. All right. Have a nice day. Bless y'all.